The Gallagher Shots podcast is sponsored by Tyre Spot, the North East's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and podcast. It's not going to be a very pleasant one for all you watching and listening today, but I am your host today, Kris, joined by Iain and Nichol, and we are here. It's just, 15-20 minutes after full time where Newcastle United have gone to West Ham and lost 3-1. West Ham, who have been probably the worst football team I've seen for a long, long time, haven't won at home in 9 months. And let's just say the Newcastle United doctor surgery is well and truly back open because Dr. Newcastle is taking appointments. So if anyone wants anything fixed and solved, book in straight away because that was one of the worst performances you will ever see. That's as positive you're going to get today. Iain, take away, because I don't even know where to start with this, because I'm not going to lie, I'm furious after that performance from the lads.
I'm absolutely raging. I've seen just before I came on, I've had COVID for the best part of a week and a half, and I'd take a month of that over watching that 90 minutes again. Possibly the worst performance I've ever seen. And from big players, we've discussed many times this season where you've maybe got one or two players, namely the wingers that aren't really firing right, aren't really producing. I think bar maybe Malik Chow, everyone was off their game today. It's possibly, I don't even think the happiest of happy clappers can see a positive in that. Because
I think we can even see Malik Chow. I think you can even throw him in that mix as well, because he had a couple of moments, but then he had a couple where he was just passing the ball into absolutely nobody, loads of times.
I think there was a couple of moments where he made decent tackles. Obviously, the penalty that got given and overturned was a really good tackle. But it's clutching at straws even trying to pick who was the best player, because they were absolutely appalling, every single one of them. And to be honest, they need a fucking hard, good look at themselves. Like, you go against the team against Spurs, who are doing well in the league. Yes, we've had their number for a number of seasons now. You absolutely control that game on Wednesday, and you think, right, on the back of a good result against Fulham, you've now got through to the quarterfinals against a decent opposition. You're going to go to a place where I think it was April their last win was. I think they maybe won one game this season, maybe two. And you go and put in an absolute shit show like that. Absolutely not good enough.
I think I might be wrong here, but I think the commentator said the last time West Ham won at home, Newcastle hadn't lifted the Carabao Cup. I'm sure they said that.
So that would have been before March then.
It's the first home win in the league in 9 months.
Which is, it's when you go to these games. I know a lot of people say you can't play football games on paper, and we know that, Nichol. Of course, we know that. We're not daft, right? We know, especially this season, the Premier League has been a very, very tough one for most teams. I would say there's been all the results left, right, and centre, which are fooling everybody and shocking everybody. But as a Newcastle fan, like Iain said, you go on the back of a decent run that we've had at home. What was the 3 home wins in a row? Then you have an opposition like West Ham. You think, great, you couldn't probably ask for a better opposition to go and try and continue that run and build on that momentum that we've already had the foundations of there. Then the lads just go and put in a performance, which, do you know what it is? I never ever want to say that a player doesn't look arsed. But all of them on the field today just looked like they didn't want to be there. There's nobody grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and saying, right, lads, get your acting gear. Everybody just went missing from start to finish. And it really, the longer that game went on, the more pissed off I got, because those players later on in the game just putting passes out of play, just not chasing balls down and stuff like that. And just turning the back on it, like, and thinking, oh, well, that's gone now. And nobody kicking off with each other. And sometimes as a football fan, you want to see your own players and teammates just having a word and going, what's going on? What are you doing? But maybe it's the fact that every single one of them was having a shit game that nobody could come forward and say, pull your socks up.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because after they won 3 in a row at home, I remember saying after the Spurs win in the Carabao Cup, right, they've now got to go and back that up with an away performance at West Ham, because that's an important game. We should be winning that. And everyone was going into this game with confidence. So there's not really an excuse to not expect to win this game. It's not big-headed of us to say that, because they're second bottom of the league and they haven't won at home in 9 months in the league.
Worst defence in the league.
We should have gone there and won today, really. We had a good enough team out to win there. I think you've mentioned Chow played okay. I thought Murphy did okay for the first 10, 15 minutes. Obviously got a good goal. But apart from after that, it was like we got the goal and then it was like, right, that's it. We're going to, we'll easily get to it. Yeah, which you would expect, but you have to actually do that. You can't just sit back and hope that it happens. So, yeah, it was disappointing from that front. And then, as you say, we made some subs at half time. And as the game goes on, there wasn't really a chance that we thought, oh, we're getting back into this. I didn't think we'd get back into I knew we wouldn't get back in the game. And
we dominated possession, and that was it. That's all it was. Sky kept on putting the stats up Newcastle, like 80% possession, something ridiculous like that. And possession doesn't win you football games. We know that, of course we do. It's creating chances and scoring goals. And I found it absolutely mental how Nick Valdemora was taken off at half time against, like I said, the team which has got the worst defense in the league. You think, well, why are you taking your striker off at this point? And once again, we need to put the banner-ons in. We do not want Eddie Howe out, and so on and so on. But some of those decisions in the game, from a managerial and coach's point of view, I was questioning. I think a couple of the players that I want to mention, and I'm just going to jump straight on them, because if I'm not going to do it now, I probably never will. And I may regret this as the week goes on. But emotions are high after a defeat. Joe Linton was absolutely atrocious today. And he has not been the same player this season as the player that we fell in love with and adore. I thought today he was absolutely shocking from start to finish. Just daft decisions, just wanted to scrap people left, right, and centre. Any opportunity that he got, you could tell he was frustrated as the game went on. Bruno went completely missing as well. Not to be seen. I think the Paqueta chance that goal that where they equalise, Bruno's running out and he just stops. Like, go and tackle your mate, man. Like, just
it's
get
almost
it sorted.
like he's scared. I'm sure the 1-1 where at St James's Park where Paqueta scored, I'm sure it was fairly similar. Bruno had a shocking game. I don't know if he just doesn't like playing against Paqueta because he's his mate.
I thought Dan Burn at left back. It's worked so much this season. He's done very, very, very well this season, but absolutely horrendous today. Kept on finding himself in positions up the field and giving the ball away. Just really frustrating. Pope. Let's talk about Nick Pope. He made a couple of decent saves early on, but Jesus Christ, catch a fucking ball. Like, he just kept on punching it out. The first one almost lands to their player. Get away with that one. Second one, which is the one which falls out to Paqueta. Then Paqueta has a shot. Once again, Bruno doesn't really close it down. Half-assed attempt to close it down. Pope gets a strong hand to it, 2 hands to it, arguably, and God knows what's happening. Yes, you can tell by Pope's reaction straight away that he is frustrated with himself. He knows for fine what he should have done better. There's just 3-4 players that have nailed off straight away, and I haven't even gone through the rest of the team. So somebody take over before I get all this shit in the comments.
I want to say again, the players that he hooked at half time were Gordon, who again, granted he's done all right in the Champions League, but if you look at it, his goal against Barcelona was like he did his hardest to miss that. He had 2 goals against USG, which were penalties. And then did he score against?
He was good against Benfica. He was good against Benfica.
He was great against Benfica.
He was very good against Benfica.
I thought he was pretty decent again. Did he start against? I can't even remember if he started against. But again, in the league, he's just not doing it. He's doing nothing. He's so predictable. And again, it was a case of maybe his last season we questioned his attitude, but there was so many players, their body language, where they were losing the ball, and they were just like, no, I've got to try and track back now. For the second goal where Botman slides it, again going back to Nick Pope, I know obviously Botman tries to cut that out, but Pope comes off his post so early, and he's just caught flat-footed. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing with the punches. And again, we'll go back, and I said this after he had his shoulder injury. I think it might have been last season, the season before. he's making mistakes. Like every keeper makes mistakes. Don't get us wrong. No keeper's perfect. But it was starting to lead to more and more chances that were conceded, and then it's starting to lead to more goals were conceded. And don't get us wrong, I think Nick Pope is an absolutely fantastic shot stopper. Obviously, we've talked about his limitations with his feet, but it's getting more and more frequent now that when he makes a mistake, it's proven very, very costly. Not just a chance, we're conceding goals from it.
I think right now it's so hard to judge Pope because so far this season he kept us in so many games, probably every single game so far this season, and that's why I don't want to jump on him too much.
No,
but today, shocking, absolutely shocking.
Today.
I think maybe.
I know. I think it's maybe just. I mean, he's that first one. He's punched and then he's not saved the shot, which he should really. You'll think he should have saved that, and maybe that's just affected him for the rest of the game because after that he wasn't claiming catches, and then we haven't got on to the third one because the third one's the worst of them all. Goes through his legs like it's Sunday league stuff.
It's honestly like there's so many moments in that game where I just kept on watching. I never had. When we took the league, right, I'm not going to lie. When we went 1-0 up, I thought, right, we'll probably just go and score another couple. I thought that would happen. But then, 5 minutes after, West Ham just grew into that game. Then they created so many chance after chance after chance. And you knew it was coming. Like we said in our WhatsApp group, there's no hiding away from it. You knew exactly what was going to happen here. And obviously, inevitable did happen, of course. Then it's 1-1. Then at that point, which is just there was no urgency from us, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it. There's no urgency, and I think there was no effort put in from our lads. And people will sit and argue, saying, "Well, players will always put effort in, right?" Yes, they do to a certain extent, but it felt like a game where there was nothing lying on this game. It felt like a game where you're coming towards the end of the season, then you're just stuck in that no man's land. You can't really get to European football. You can't get relegated. That's what it felt like from a Newcastle point of view. And that's not taking anything away from West Ham because I thought West Ham were good today, but I think we probably made them look a hell of a lot better than what what they are. Obviously, just looking at recent results for West Ham and where they are in the league, you can't argue against that. And I thought West Ham, they played very, very well on the counter-attack. Newcastle had a hell of a lot of possession, but every time we lost possession, they looked very, very dangerous and we looked absolutely shambolic at the back. And I'm just sat scratching my head and like I said, as the game went on, I'm getting more and more frustrated. It just seemed like we got more and more sloppy as the game went on. And it just looked like we knew as players that game was far beyond us.
It was just the simple things that they were like passing behind the man. Like literally every first touch, their second touch ended up being a tackle, or the first touch you would take them out of play. Like there was nothing positive about that performance at all. And you mentioned Eddie Howe in sort of his decisions. Like I'm sure Tonali ended up at right back towards the end of the game. Like
I think we had just 3 or 4 right backs in that game.
Murphy played right back for a bit.
Murphy did. Chow did. Yeah, Tonali. There's 4. Yeah. I think at the minute, and again, I get that we're in a little bit of a transition from the team that we used to be because of the whole exact thing. I get that, but we just don't look like we have any identity at all this season. Like we mentioned, you can only sort of judge on your last game, but looking back at the season so far, there's not really a game or a run of 1 or 2 games where we've looked really, really good and got a result. Like we've looked okay in sort of 15, 20-minute spells, second half.
I think Benfica's probably the only one.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And even then, sort of Benfica, they got in a few times, and it was just the second half killed them off. Forest was the same, but I said after, I can't remember what game it was, maybe the Brighton game, where we had 3 Premier League games of Fulham, West Ham, Brentford, and I said anything other than maximum points out of those 3 games is a failure. And let's face it, we were lucky against Fulham. We're shambolic today, and there's 2 out of the 3 games. And I said, again, it probably was too early for us to say in the group chat, but I've maintained that if this is how we're going to perform this season, we're not getting any European football. And there's a few people, there's typical Iain being a pessimist again. But based on what you've just seen, can you honestly see you're going to be better than teams in and around Champions League and Europa League spots? Absolutely not.
Nichol, we're currently sat 13th, I believe, in the
13th
league.
at the minute. can go down to 14th. Yeah.
It's the league's not lying. Like you just look at that league, and I think Ian summed it up really well. That some of the points that we have put on the board, we've scraped by in results, but then you can arguably say some of them points that we didn't pick up were performed really well, like sort of Liverpool, Arsenal, those sort of games. So it's just this Newcastle United, and once again, he's probably summed it up very well, saying we just don't have an identity right now. We just don't know what we are as a football club, and as a fan base, we go into each game not knowing what sort of team that is going to turn up and perform, and it's really frustrating to watch because you like to be excited about games, and as a football fan, you should be excited going to games. But now I'm going into games feeling more anxious as to what is going to be put on display in front of you. And I know it's ridiculous to say because we're so early in the season, but if we are going to get any sort of European football, we have an almighty steep incline to climb up right now.
Yeah, I think what you've said, Ian's like totally fair about looking at Europe this season. If we're going to play like this, it's not going to happen. And
rightly so, because we wouldn't deserve it.
No. And I saw someone make an argument actually before today's game that Spurs are third and they haven't played all that well this season. So it can turn, but we need to start turning around. Like you say, like West Ham, Brentford, and Fulham are the teams that we should really be picking up points against. Now, I'm going to Brentford next week, and I'm happy with a point coming back from there. Now, that's my opinion now.
Which is ridiculous to say. When you're thinking about it in the grand scheme of things, that's a fucking ridiculous statement.
Brentford, would you take a point at Brentford away now? Probably yes.
But just because of the fear of not getting any points. Yeah. That's the only reason why I'm saying that. The fear of getting 0 points.
Yeah.
And after the performance I've seen today, the performance that I've seen today, we should get points taken off with and given to somebody else. It was horrendous.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm thinking back to that second half, and I can only think of that chance that Jacob Ramsey had where he didn't shoot and he tried to put it in for Osula.
And you had a Jacob Murphy one there, he just hoisted towards a corner flag.
And I think he took Big Nick off at half time, and I think that's probably a knock-on effect of not having. We've used him a lot in all of the competitions. He played most of the game on Wednesday night against Spurs. So then, he didn't get much service today, but he did look a bit knackered. So he's put Osula on for the second half, which is not ideal, really.
Thinking we are a hell of a lot better team in the Champions League than what we are in the Premier League. So if we are going to get European football, we're going to have to fucking win the tournament.
Be the most impressive thing ever, that though. But,
win the tournament and end up in the bottom 10.
Yeah. I think Scott summed it up in the group chat as well. It's almost like if once we score, that's it. Or seemingly today anyway, and for large parts of the season, if we go ahead, we think that's job done, and we think that we're good enough to just see games out. And this season, I think the Premier League's probably been the most competitive it has been in a good while. You've got teams beating other teams and getting points from teams you wouldn't expect, and I genuinely think we need a massive fucking rocket up Ross. Because, like we've alluded to there, those 3 games, you're expecting 9 points. You've got 3. You probably, like you say, you'd snap your hand off for a point against Brentford. And let's face it, Brentford aren't like a team that's pushing for Europe or anything like that. They're a sort of mid-table side. But I think it all does just go back to we don't have an identity at the minute. We haven't found.
I'm not taking a point against Brentford. I'm not taking a point against Brentford. It's if I'm sat here saying I'll take a point against Brentford, how far have we fallen down from what we were in the last few seasons? It's mental and.
Oh, don't get us wrong. I think you need to go there and get 3 points. But based on today, if that's the level of performance that they're going to put in,
it's fear factor, isn't it?
That's essentially what it is. But I think you might have touched on it, Kris. Maybe after the Brighton game as well, that we haven't since we've been taken over and under Howe, we've never really faced a tough test or a tough period where we're not getting results and we're league positions being affected by it. Usually we'll go on a run where we'll get loads of points and we're league positions all right, even if we haven't been played.
It's normally just on Christmas.
Yeah, it's and again, Scott raised the question I don't think the owners will sort of jump the gun and get rid of him, but there just doesn't seem to be any direction at the minute with the team. And like I say, I think a lot of it does go back to just having zero identity, because we don't know how to play without. And I've said that. I think a lot of people have said that actually, if we don't know how to press high and win the ball back high up, and like teams where they sit a little bit deeper, we're not clever enough, and we don't have a game plan to beat those kind of teams. And today showed. But as soon as West Ham went ahead, yes, we had 80-90% possession, whatever, in the second half. I wasn't even confident we're going to get a clear-cut chance, because we just don't have the personnel to unlock defences like that.
I think Nichol, you're probably arguably playing a number 10 as a striker. I think what we're seeing from Valdemar right now, he can score your goals, but when he's not getting the service as a striker, he's not offering anything, because he drops back into that number 10 role and tries to bring everybody else into around it. And when your wingers are performing so badly as well, he's got a very, very tough job. And I think, just to throw a caveat in there, I think every single time I have to throw that in there, I think missing your two wing backs is huge. I think obviously Kraft's starting there, which is your third choice right back. Let's not forget that. You've got Dan Burn at left back, which, yes, he can do a job there, and he's done a job there very well previously, but today it was far from that. You had Hall on the bench, which is probably the only positive that we're taking from the game, a player being on the bench, which is mental.
Yeah. Hopefully he's back on Wednesday.
Exactly, yeah. So I think we've got to look at, and once again, Wissa being injured is a huge impact on him as well. I think if you're looking at certain players, like I mentioned earlier on, Joe Linton just not hitting the standards that we expect from Joe Linton as well does not help the situation as well. I think Eddie's got some huge decisions to make going forward about who is starting in that field. I think, and I'm going to go back to it, and I feel really bad because I love Joe Linton. I love him as a footballer, and he's been so good for us. I think it's about time that would try something different.
Do you think he's on a decline now, just in terms of his career path? Like, he's
maybe not overall
now.
Maybe not overall. Maybe this is just a little bit.
Injuries as well, but I don't think you're going to get much more out of him than what
it might just be a little bit
previously.
That's all that could be. It might just be a tough time through his playing career that he's have to overcome. But like I said earlier, it just seems like he's getting more and more frustrated each game that you see him now, and he's not really offering much when he is starting games. I think he looked better the other day when he came off the bench and looked like we had the old Joe Linton in that game. But right now, when he's starting games, I'm just not sure what he's offering right now.
No, I thought it was quite telling that he put him on the left wing ahead of, like bringing a Barnes or a Langer on. I mean, what does that say about how they've been performing? I mean, he brought them both on eventually, but playing an out of form Joe Linton at left wing, it wasn't going to work, was it, for the second half? I don't think so. I think he was just trying anything to change it up. But
do you have any positives? Because I'm ready to stop talking about this. I would rather go and watch the Leeds game again.
I won't go that far.
That's how bad that was. Got a point against Leeds.
Lewis Hall might be back. Lewis Hall's back, maybe a little bit. That's
only positive. A player that didn't even feature.
We've got another positive. I'm trying to spin them out. Jacob Murphy scored a good goal, and we've got a game in quick. We've got a game on Wednesday. It's quick. We can turn it around quickly. I know it's not in the league, but if we can get
I think that's the issue, though. I think that's the issue, Nichol. We'll go into the next game and we'll probably put on a decent performance.
And then
but you'd rather that
Brentford
performance
again,
was in the Premier League. Like right now, you need points on the board, because if you don't get them, what is the point of getting European football if you're not going to keep on repeating that each season? Like, you get European football, then you shit in the league. Then you don't get it. The season after you get it, then just a vicious circle.
Do you think this week then he prioritises the league on Sunday? Because we've already got quite a lot of points in the Champions League. Probably enough. What
was happening today? I don't think there's a priority. I don't think the Champions League taken obviously any sort of place over the Premier League from a managerial point of view. Maybe the players aspect of it. Hence, look at Gordon, and Gordon's two different players when you see him in the Premier League than what you do in a Champions League game. Maybe it's players. Maybe Ian's right. Maybe the players do need a rocket up the arse and go, what the fuck are you doing? Because this isn't acceptable, and today was far from that.
Do you think?
If I normally sit on the fence and I just normally ask the questions, I'm answering my own questions now.
You'll need to get the banner out for this question because I asked it in the group chat, but I mentioned a comment in the group chat. But with Howe, so that first half performance after we scored was absolutely shambolic, and everyone said in the group chat they need to get in, need a rocket up the arse, they need their hairdryer treatment. Do you use, and this is literally only going off what you see on camera because that's all you have to go off. Do you honestly think Eddie Howe is the type of manager to do that? Because and this isn't to throw shade at him. I just feel like he's too nice and too measured to be a type of manager to get them in and read the riot act. I don't know about you.
I think he probably is. I don't think he puts on that display in front of cameras. Yeah. I think he is.
I think there's been bits in interviews and like on the Amazon documentary where Jason and Eddie himself have said like it comes out when I need to, when the time's right, as long as it's like
it'll be out right now.
Yeah,
it'll be out right now.
Yeah. So yeah,
I just like right now, like I just as a podcast, as a recording, I don't think there's anything else which we can say. I think sometimes it helps to get this off your chest and to vent a little bit, and hopefully people listening or watching this will agree. If anybody disagrees, then we're open for everything. So send your comments in and whatever you think. If you think we've been bang out of order and been too harsh on the lads, by all means, chuck a comment in. If you agree with then do exactly the same. I just maybe I'm being too much of a miserable sod. But
just don't call us a Macam though, please. That'll
don't call me Macam, sorry. I don't know. I'm like I said, the positive that I'm taking from it is Lewis Hall being on the bloody bench. That's the positive, like mental, absolutely mental.
Callum Wilson didn't score because that would have just been that would have epitomised today. Another positive today, if he's one cheering up, Fenix Window's getting unveiled at 6:30. That's the level that I'm at today, guys.
That's shit as well, because that's been shit for years.
What is Clarence Bean? Like, what was that? Anyways.
Anyway, on to Bilbao. How are the lads? We're back.
Thing is, we're going pump them 6-0 next.
No, they're a good team, Bilbao. They're a good team.
Anyway, but we'll pump them, and then Brentford will get dicked.
That's the title of the next podcast. Brentford, we will get dicked. Thanks everybody who has been watching or listening to this one. If you have liked it, if you've agreed, if you disagreed, whatever, I don't even give a fuck anymore. Like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you nothing to do that. If you do want to give an extra bit back, it is just $2.99 a month to become a member. You get early access to videos, you get extra videos, and you get access to the Telegram group as well. We're hopefully going to go and forget about this game, but we probably won't. We'll probably be straight in one of those groups to whinge some more and kick off some more, or even mute that group. But yeah, we'll see you next time. Watch what you're doing, everybody. Ta-ra. Fucking shite.